Hello and welcome to the 10-Minute Project Fix. My name is Gary Wills, I'm your host, and I'm also the founder of a recruitment company called Talent Today that is fast-tracking the recruitment process for the project delivery world. In each episode, we'll be discussing all things project delivery, and we'll be speaking to the very best project leaders and CIOs in the marketplace that have been there, done it, got the t-shirt, and got a lot of war wounds along the way. If you like what you hear from the podcast, please hit the like button, please subscribe to the channel, and please share or add a comment. Sandra Owens, how are you?
I'm great, Gary. And you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for coming on to episode 1 of the 10-Minute Project Fix. It's a bit of a mouthful, but I think I got there. Sandra, we know each other, don't we, from our days back at TNT?
We do. I think that was in 2016, I think was the last time we saw each other. So things have moved on a bit since then. Just a little bit. Well, listen, I'm going to hit the timer now. We have 10 minutes to try and get this complete. So I'm going to click it and then we're going to try our very best to get through all of this in 10 minutes. And then we're going to have a little bit of fun at the end, okay? On a 60-second countdown. So, okay. So what would you give to people who may be in a position where they're aspiring to become maybe a project manager or a program director? What 3 tips would you give them to make sure that you successfully deliver a project? Well, I think one of the most important things, and it doesn't really matter what level you're at, whether you're starting out as a PM or you're working at a senior level in a delivery organization, collaboration with your team members is one of the most important things that you can do. And in order to be successful from a collaboration point of view, it's really important that both parties understand what the goals are. So they're going to be collective goals and there are going to be goals from each party. So if you are a customer, you're generally working towards a business case, you've got some objectives and you want to improve the way that you do your job. If you're a vendor, ultimately you want to make a profit out of it, you want to get more work and you want things to go well. So it always helps when both parties understand what each other's goals are. And I also think it's quite often not understood that as a customer, it's really important that your vendor's successful because then they can do the best thing for you. So understanding both sides is really, really key. Brilliant.
You do have that's 2, you got a third?
No, that's only 1. So I think one that overrides everything is that we're in the game of uncertainty and delivery, and you have to embrace it. Yeah. And if you really don't worry about things being uncertain, then you've got a greater chance of success. And uncertainty, really, if you have uncertainty about anything, it's guiding you what you should be looking at. So actually, it's a good pointer to where you need to be fixing things if you're uncertain about something.
Yeah.
And the final thing, and I think probably the most important thing for me, is that you've got to make the best team that you can. And again, it really doesn't matter what level you're at, but you have to be the leader of that team. You have to empower that team, allow them to make mistakes, understand that there are team members that need to develop, bring them along with you. Have a good mix in your team, have a good mix of experience and useful enthusiasm, and it'll really give you a good solid grounding for delivery.
Excellent. That was the top 3. Nailed it.
Yeah.
When you're, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you're trying to mitigate risk?
So I think really you have to understand what you're delivering in the first place to understand what the risks are, and when you set out, there is probably a set of risks that you've got that are going to be standard with every project. And then when you look deeper in and find and understand what's on the table, you can predict where your problems are. Now, the longer you do this and the more times that you undertake delivery, the easier that is. But really, it is about understanding what you've got to deliver.
Excellent. Now, when you're considering stakeholder management, what's been your approach that you found that has been successful?
So a little bit a continuation from the collaboration point, really. Each side has to know what the other side wants out of this process, and understanding all your stakeholders, what their objectives are, And whether everyone's bought into what you're delivering, I have had instances where you're trying to deliver something and the people who are meant to be receiving it don't want it. That's always a challenge when you've got people in the team who are not on the curve. So get close to people, understand what they need, understand how they tick, and identify any disruptors in the team, and establish what you need to do to bring them to the party. If you've got a change management function within your team, stakeholder management should be key and an important part of your approach to the overall delivery.
Excellent. Okay. And when, let's say you've taken over from a project from somebody else, or I don't know, the project has kind of hit the skids a little bit and it's not going to plan. How does it make you feel? How do you feel, like, outside of work?
So it can be difficult, and we've all been in difficult situations where we do take things home and we worry about things.
When a project is failing, or you've taken over from somebody where the project has maybe hit the skids a little bit, it's not going where you want it to go. How does that make you feel? When you come home from work, do you leave it at work, or does it impact you?
Well, I think I try to draw a line between working and home, and generally that means shutting the lid of the computer, and when it's done, it's done. And I do try to leave the work problems at work. But I suppose we have to remember that as delivery professionals, our job is to solve problems. So it's actually okay to have problems. It's okay to have open problems. Some of them we plan to solve, some of them we don't expect. If we're mitigating our risks properly, we get those. But I think really try not to take it home, but at least try and have a separation of work and home life.
Yeah. And going to the solution now, I guess we're great on time, so I think this is probably where people really want to learn about how to fix the problem. Sorry about that. There's a fly going around the room, just going. What steps do you take to try and get a project back on plan and get it delivered on time and to budget?
So generally, if a project was not going in the direction that it needed to go, we sit down with the team and look at the plan and find out what's not happening properly, what's not happening in the right order, what tasks are outstanding, and really dig into every one of those and find out what's happening. So it really is about going into the detail of why things are not working. I think the biggest challenge is that when you have a problem that's not going wrong, when you have a project that's not going right, the people that really care about that project or have a stake in it being delivered tend to want to also do that and dig into the detail. And that could be quite time consuming. I think one of the challenges that you've got then is just that you've got a focus that you don't need. So if you can avoid getting into that position, it's always a better place to be. But really finding out the detail, looking at the plan, looking at the actual reasons why, the dependencies. And dependencies quite often are the reasons why things go off track. So understanding up front is really important. Knowing what everybody in your team, either internally or externally, has to do in order to get that delivered. In terms of, there's two sides to this, I guess. So if you're running a piece of work and it's not going right, I think that is a difficult and a more stressful situation, because you're part of it, and generally people who work in delivery really do care about wanting to get things right. They do take things personally, and they want to make good on things. So that's definitely harder to deal with. The other angle where you're asked to come in and sort something out is actually something that I quite enjoy doing, being the fresh pair of eyes and going in, unearthing, picking all the rocks up, looking for the worms to finding where all the problems are really, and being very persistent about it. And that's a more comfortable place, because if you don't feel responsible for the original problem, it's always easier to deal with it. But either way, it is about understanding the detail.
Awesome. Okay. And Sandra, what would you say to anybody that maybe is in a position where would love to become a project manager, or become a program director, right? It just maybe doesn't have the confidence. What advice would you give that person to maybe just go for it.
So if you want to become a project manager, I would say that you're probably already predisposed to be a project manager. So you will be the friend that's always got the map on holiday. You will be the one that does the itinerary. You will be the one that books the plane tickets for everybody's holiday. You'll be the one that checks everyone's got their passport before you go away. You'll already be predisposed, I guess. And people want to get in and organize things and sort people out and solve problems. People who are not like that generally not drawn to project management. And people within the technology industry, people who are from a development space don't tend to transfer well. I'll probably rephrase that actually if you cut that out.
we'll keep it in, don't worry about it. You've got 30 seconds left.
Yeah. So moving on from being a project manager into a program manager or program director role, I would say really treat every piece of work you do as a team exercise, because the higher up you go in your delivery activities, you really have got to rely on your team. So if you show or demonstrate leadership, even when you're managing smaller projects and you've got people in your team, you need to get them to do the work for you. You need to organize them. Don't do their work for them. And then that allows you to then move up later on, where you can understand. Yeah, I'm not happy with what I'm saying actually.
Don't worry.
Can we just try this?
It's okay. Yeah, we could just finish the last sentence. That'll be fine.
Yeah, I've lost my thread. That's the problem.
Don't worry. We just so I was saying, if you've got one bit of advice. If you've got one bit of advice to anybody that's maybe wanting to become a project manager, or maybe a program director to take that next step up, what would you say to them if maybe they were feeling like it was out of their comfort zone, maybe? So
I'll talk about taking the next step up then. Yeah. So taking the next step up from a project manager into a program-based role really is about the team. It's about understanding all the things that the team have got to do. It's about empowering the team to do the right things. So if you're operating in a project, try and go for pieces of work, bigger projects, to prepare yourself to move into program management, and make sure that the team does the work. You are the manager of that team, you're the leader of that team. Be front and center and be the leader, organize people, allow your team to be accountable for the work that they're doing. Allow them to speak, allow them to have a voice. And the further you go through your career, the more important that will be, is that your team actually is what's driving your work.
Excellent. Well, the good news is, Sandra, you've delivered it in 10 minutes. So first time, first episode, you've nailed it. So massive thumbs up. Now we're going to just have a little bit of fun. We're under the clock again, I'm afraid. So I'm going to ask a load of questions to you.
This one's a bit easier, I think.
I hope so. I don't know. We'll see. So right, I'm just going to start the clock, and we've got exactly 60 seconds, and I'm going to clap my hands when it's done. And just bring them together. Okay. So we're going to click the time now. Okay. So best bit of software.
Excel.
Best bit of hardware.
Windows laptop.
Best lesson learned.
Every project will have a problem, at least one.
At least one, okay. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Ooh. Jam or Marmite?
I'm going to go Marmite.
Who inspires you?
Entrepreneurial people.
Who frustrates you?
Lazy people.
Lazy people. How do you keep mentally focused?
I don't.
Your favourite sport or team?
No favourite sport, but Liverpool football is team.
Team, okay, yeah. Tell them how to do it or find a way together.
Together.
Together. Work from home or in the office?
Blend.
Oh, blend. Sitting on the fence. If you could have dinner with one person, who would it be?
Annie Hartley, my second time's great grandmother.
And we're out of time. We're done. Nailed it. She's good, this Sandra, isn't she? So, Sandra, thank you so much for coming on to the 10-minute project fix today. I'm sure you're going to help loads of people with that advice and all the bits of information that you've given out. I hope that you've enjoyed today.
Yeah, it's been great. Fast, but great.
Well, tonight, it's an evening. We've got another 9 episodes to come as well. So please do tune in and check the YouTube channel to watch the full video as well. There'll be a link below, and it'll also be on Spotify. So Sandra, once again, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks, Gary.
Cheers. Thank you. Thanks very much for joining me on today's podcast. Remember, if you are looking to hire anybody within your project delivery teams, please do drop me a message at gary.wills@talenttoday.co.uk, or feel free just to drop me a direct message. Alternatively, if you are looking to be a guest speaker on the 10-minute project fix, I would love to hear from you. So please do drop me a message. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Thanks.